What if I told you the single biggest reason deals fall apart has nothing to do with your price, your terms, or even your market? It's because the person on the other side of the table doesn't trust you yet. In a world where there are literally millions of real estate agents and investors all saying the same things, trust isn't just a nice to have. It's the only currency that actually closes deals. Think about what a seller sees when they Google you at 11 p.m. before deciding whether to call back. They either find a trail of credibility or they find nothing, and nothing is a no. We're living in the most oversaturated attention economy in human history. And the agents and investors who win aren't necessarily the smartest ones, they're the most believable ones. Here's the brutal irony. Most people in this industry are out here spending thousands on leads while completely ignoring the one thing that makes leads convert, a reason to choose you specifically. Your personal brand is essentially your reputation on autopilot, working while you sleep, pre-selling skeptical sellers, and pre-qualifying curious buyers before you ever pick up the phone. Now, let's get into the actual mechanics. Because this isn't about posting inspirational quotes on Instagram and calling it a brand. This is about building a system of proof. Think of your personal brand like a courtroom case. Every piece of content you put out is evidence, and you're trying to convince a jury of strangers that you are the most competent, transparent, and reliable option available. The psychological science here is fascinating, and a little uncomfortable people don't choose the best option. They choose the most familiar and trustworthy one, which is why a mediocre agent with great content consistently beats a brilliant agent with zero online presence. Behavioral economists call this the mere exposure effect. And in plain English, it means the more someone sees you explaining your process with honesty and specificity, the safer you feel to them. Now contrast that with where most people in the space are stuck, chasing cold leads, making cold calls, and starting every single conversation at zero trust, which is exhausting and wildly inefficient. The agents and investors who figured this out 5 years ago are now getting inbound calls from sellers who already watched 12 of their videos and basically just want to confirm the vibe before signing. Here's a number that should wake you up. Studies on consumer behavior consistently show it takes somewhere between 7 and 12 touch points before a prospect converts. And if every one of those touch points is an ad or a pitch, you're cooked. But if those touch points are case studies, behind the scenes deal breakdowns, honest conversations about deals that didn't go perfectly, now you're building something that compounds. The misconception I hear constantly is that showing vulnerability or documenting a deal that went sideways makes you look weak. It actually does the exact opposite. When you say, here's a rehab we bought in 2022, here's what the contractor found in the walls, here's how we adjusted the budget, and here's what we netted at the end, you look like the only adult in the room. Your ecosystem of relationships is also part of your brand, your contractors, your lenders, your title company, your attorney, and when you consistently name them, tag them, and feature them in your content, you're not just being generous, you're signaling to every prospect that you have an actual operation. Sellers especially need to see that you're not some solo operator with a burner phone and a dream. They need to see the machine behind you. Historically speaking, every major shift in how trust is established, from word of mouth to yellow pages to websites to social proof, follows the same pattern. Early adopters dominate, late adopters scramble, and the people who wait until it's obvious have already lost ground. We are right now in the window where consistent, authentic, process-driven content still separates you dramatically from the competition. But that window is not permanently open. The practical playbook here is not complicated, but it requires discipline over inspiration. Pick 1 or 2 platforms, commit to documenting your actual work with real numbers and real outcomes, and do it consistently for at least 6 months before you evaluate results. Position size matters here, just like it does in investing. Don't bet your whole strategy on one viral video. Instead, build a library of evergreen content that quietly works for you across hundreds of future Google searches and referral conversations. The philosophical truth underneath all of this is that Authenticity at scale is the most durable competitive advantage available to any individual in any crowded market, not charisma, not ad spend, not even experience alone. Discipline, consistency, and the willingness to show your process honestly will outperform every shortcut available to your competition. And here's where we come full circle. You don't need to be the loudest voice, the most polished presenter, or the most experienced investor in the room. You just need to be the most trustworthy one, which is entirely within your control starting today. The market will always reward the person who makes strangers feel safe, and content is simply the most scalable way to do that at volume. Whether deals come to you or they don't, whether the market heats up or cools down, the investors and agents who have built genuine trust-based brands sleep better at night because their pipeline isn't dependent on any single algorithm, ad platform, or interest rate. It's dependent on their reputation, which they own completely. That's a kind of financial and psychological stability that no cold calling script can replicate. And if you're ready to stop starting from zero on every conversation and start building something that actually compounds, check out our links in the description below, where we can help you get started, whether you're looking at real estate investing, home contracting work, or connecting with the right lenders.